Welcome to the Predictive Services Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Friday, May 3rd. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation move across the Great Basin and pretty significant over the eastern half of Nevada into the western half of Utah. These areas have seen well above normal precipitation over the last week, and even over the last 2 weeks, still above normal for that period in much of that region. Some drier spots have been west central and southwest Idaho, into western Nevada, and even parts of central Nevada. Looking at the new snowfall over the last 72 hours, we've had new snowfall across Idaho and into Wyoming. And then our snowpack is gradually melting, but due to periods of wetter, cooler weather and warmer, drier weather, it's not melting very rapidly. So definitely no concerns with flooding at the present time. Right now we're just seeing snowpack near to above normal in many areas across the Great Basin. Some exceptions are the Northern Sierra, which has dropped to below normal, and central Idaho, which is just below normal. Looking at our weather pattern for later today, we will see ridging still continuing to move across the Great Basin with warm temperatures and dry conditions, and also good transport winds. We will start to see winds pick up, but today just some gusty winds over eastern Utah with high mixing heights. Temperatures will remain warm with highs in the 70s across much of the western half of the Great Basin, or 60s, and then still a little bit cooler under the influence of the exiting low pressure across the eastern portion. Relative humidity will remain low over the southern third of the Great Basin, along with parts of Nevada that will be below 15 or 20%. As we move into Saturday is when we see this sharp change in conditions. We have a strong area of low pressure that will be moving across the Great Basin, bringing in a significant increase in winds. So obviously good transport winds, but very strong winds possible, along with increasing moisture later in the day. So for Saturday, our transport winds obviously pick up quite a bit. We'll see gusts in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range or higher. We'll see some gusts easily above 60 miles per hour over parts of eastern Nevada into western Utah later in the day. Mixing heights obviously will be very high with these conditions. Temperatures will start to drop as this system moves in, especially over the western half of the Great Basin, and we'll see increases in temperatures over the eastern half of the Great Basin. But temperatures will easily drop 15 degrees or more as the system moves in, so we will see lowering snow levels, increasing humidity along with those strong winds, and we are expecting definitely above 6 to 8 inches or more in the higher elevations of the Sierra, with even some snow accumulations down to about 5,000 feet. As we move into Sunday, this system moves across the Great Basin, pushing a lot of that moisture over central and eastern areas, along with those continued stronger winds. On Sunday, though, the strongest winds will be located over the southern and eastern half of Utah, where gusts will be above 50 miles per hour, but still gusty northwest winds on the backside of this system, so we will continue with at least gusts in the 30s and 40s over much of the region. Mixing heights obviously very high. Temperatures will continue to decrease with those cooler temperatures spreading eastward on Sunday, so we'll see highs only in the 40s and 50s in the lower elevations of much of Idaho and Nevada, and down into the upper 50s or around 60 degrees into western Utah. Relative humidity increases significantly, so again we will see that moisture spreading eastward. Our total precipitation over the next few days, you can see obviously most areas seeing at least light amounts of precipitation with some heavier amounts in the central Sierra in the high elevations, and also in northern and central Utah and up into Idaho and Wyoming, especially in those higher elevations. But with those lowering snow levels, we will see a mix of rain and snow even down into the lower foothills. Some drier spots continue to be eastern and southern Utah into southern Nevada. As we move into next week, this system exits to the east, but still some wraparound moisture in the north and good transport winds for good dispersion. And then as we move into the middle of the week, we will see that system continue to exit with drier air moving in and warmer conditions, but possibly some moisture moving into the north by mid to late week or quickly as it moves across the north. Otherwise, drier conditions look on tap for much of the early portion of next week. So our precipitation for days 4 and 5, taking us from Monday through Wednesday, just show again that moisture moving across the north. And then as we move into later in the week, drier conditions in most areas. The 7-day total precipitation, so again, still looking for that moisture to move in, so this will definitely probably stunt green up a little bit with those cooler temperatures, but with the moisture, green up will resume next week, and we will continue to see higher fuel moistures across much of the Great Basin. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, you can see going through the May 10th through the 16th, still showing a kind of a mix of normal and cooler conditions with still some moisture across the Great Basin. It does look like possibly later in the month we might see some drier conditions. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.